Why would you spend so much money on gyms when you can work out on your own at home? Now, I'm not talking about home weights you can buy from the store, nor am I talking about body weight or calisthenics training. I'm talking about self resistance training, using force against your own force. I've been doing this kind of training for my arms for quite a few months already, and I've had some gains that are as significant as when you're lifting weights. Besides the fact that I am a super stingy person, I don't sign up for gym memberships anymore because of, ironically, the science. The science of gains. The science of muscle building, strength building, etc. Right? You guys know the famous saying, your body doesn't know the weights and reps, it just knows the tension. So I went and explored that idea. If your muscle only cares about the tension, then the weight is irrelevant. I'm not downplaying weight training because it's the simplest way of tracking your progress, but it's just for tracking progress. The gym lifestyle has been marketed to us so much that a lot of people still believe that going to the gym is the only way to get stronger and bigger. From my experience, this training style basically borrows the main principles of training martial arts, isometrics, and conventional weightlifting. It is derived mainly from wrestlers controlling and resisting opponents, and the maximum resistance per angle from isometrics, and the muscle isolation from conventional weightlifting, and of course, the programming. But coming back to what I said earlier, conventional weightlifting in gyms and equipment provides a simpler and easier way of tracking your lifts. Now, how do you apply that to self-resistance training? Well, we can simply apply literally the same programming that we do from weightlifting. The same sets, the same reps for whatever goal you have in mind, whether it be for strength, hypertrophy, endurance. When you're doing your dumbbell bicep curls for, let's say, 3 sets of 12 reps, for example, you can do self-resistance bicep curls for 3 sets of 12 reps. Now, the difference comes from the effort. When you're lifting a weight, you wait for your muscles to give out until your final rep. You have to push yourself until the final rep. That's how you track your progress. Whereas in self-resistance training, you go to your limit since you are in charge of the tension. Though it sounds good already, there's a challenge to self-resistance training that conventional weightlifting already provides. How do you progress? When you're lifting weights, you can track the numbers. When you're self-resistance training, you are in charge of the numbers. Which takes us to the pros and cons of self-resistance training. Starting with the pros, of course, self-resistance is budget-friendly, obviously. If you want to get in shape and you're not willing to pay for a gym or you don't want to buy equipment, you can implement this training. The second is you have more options for your home workouts. Besides bodyweight workout, assuming you've already done all the leverages and finished the rep ranges, like you finished the story, the main story of calisthenics, you can add this training, especially if you want to train, if you want to isolate your biceps. The next one in the pros, it's time efficient. You don't have to travel to gyms. You can even do it in the office or the bathroom. It's even time efficient in the smallest details, such as when you're adjusting the weight, picking it up, putting it back in the rack. Because in self-resistance training, you can just, and then you can start working. I'm working right now. And the last one for the pros is it's great for hypertrophy. You don't have to rely on higher reps or leverages like bodyweight training. You can simply just resist more. Plus, you can literally just copy a typical weightlifting program. Now, let's get to the cons. Now, the first con is progressing strength will be a challenge. If you're doing this purely without equipment, for some reason, you would need to find ways outside of this training style because how do you track when there isn't a number anywhere, right? The next one is that tension will be inconsistent at times, or even most of the time, because since the resistance relies on the amount of force you are putting upon yourself, can be negated by a lot of factors, but mainly the mental factors. One example is exhaustion. Before we wrap this up, I will share my recommendations and how I've done it. Okay, so let's go back again to our bicep curl. Let's say 12 reps. The way we can program this is to intentionally aim towards fatigue, just like in conventional weightlifting. Now, here's my general rule about it. From rep 1 all the way to rep 3, you go all out. Extreme tension. Basically, RPE 8 to 10. Then on rep 4, you take a short breath to release some of the tension. You're only releasing some of the tension that way, which takes you to the very hard level of tension, which is around RPE 7 to 8 or RPE 6, 7, just right under extreme tension. Then you go maintain that until 7 reps. Then you go back to extreme tension from 8 to 10th rep. RPE 9 to 10. You should already be shaking at this point, which is going to be our gauge on whether we hit the fast twitch muscles. Then you take a short breath and then you go back to very hard level of tension on the 11th and 12th rep. So basically, the reason why the first is already at a high RPE is to set to set the tone for your muscles, and then it rides off from that tension. It rides off of that tone, then it gradually kind of goes down and then up. The last of your reps has to be RPE 7 to 8 for you to feel the tension of your isolation exercise. Because when you're bicep curling with everything you have, you're gonna be activating your chest, shoulder, traps, your back, shoulder, everything. So you have to get back to that isolation in your last of reps. The way I gauge my progression is through evaluating my performance in certain sports, whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, basically MMA, and arm wrestling. Because if you ask me, I haven't tracked my progress on weights for years already. But for you guys watching this, testing your mat strength on certain lifts is a great way to test your newfound strength from self-resistance training. This training style is so underrated because it's so unexplored and of course undermarketed, because the corporate companies won't be able to benefit much from this kind of training other than making few devices. Though I strongly advocate this training style, I wouldn't necessarily claim that it's the most superior training style as with others. But perhaps with every uncovered method to achieve strength comes with so much untapped potential to achieve even greater strength. Perhaps we could evolve beyond our current capabilities by diving more into these unconventional training methods. This has been Marco, and thank you for sticking with me throughout the video. I'd appreciate it if you drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.